so thanks for coming to listen to me talk about something I hate. Um, Seriously, web development, it's horrible, right? I mean, I don't know, who here is a web developer? Right? Yeah, me too, a bit in my spare time. I mean, it's horrible, right? We have to do 3 different languages, 4 if you do a server component, then it's all like hacked together stuff on something that wasn't meant for this, right? It's a document exchange platform for researchers to share papers, and we just build apps on top of it. I hate it. It's horrible. Compatibility, all the different stuff you have to work in. But it allows you to do some pretty neat stuff, right? And that's why we cope with it. And that's what I want to talk about today. So today is basically a talk about, hey, I found something cool on the internet. I wanted to build something, and I found something that made me extraordinarily happy, and I just had to tell everybody about it. So that's why I'm here. You're my echo chamber. I want to give you a little context. So what I wanted to do was, see, I've always been a big fan of this. I don't know if you remember this. This is called the House of the Future. It was going to be, I think it was built in the 80s or something, this really futuristic house that anticipated your every need, and with computers that would talk to you and lighting that would automatically switch on and off. It was going to be terrific. And I wanted my house to be like this, right? And if you're a developer, you go ahead and you build it yourself. I want my house to anticipate me and be intelligent and be there for me. And so the first thing I wanted to build actually and come up with was something from Star Trek, right? The replicator. I have a computer on my wall that I can talk to, and that helps me, in this case, with cooking, right? I wanna have some intelligent app in my kitchen that has a timer and a shopping list, and we have Wi-Fi lamps in our house, like the Philips Hue. I wanted controls for that to switch on and off automatically. And so I built it, right? Imagine this fancy computer, this house that talks to you. So I built that, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, I just took an old iPad and I taped it to the wall with Velcro. But still, it says touchscreen. I haven't figured out the talking yet, but I probably can do that eventually. The funny thing is, once you do this, it changes the perspective on the thing, right? Because an iPad used to be this thing that you hold in your hand, and it's normal. Everybody has a tablet these days. Once you stick it to your wall, it actually becomes part of your house, and you look at it differently. Now this is my intelligent computer that I have on my wall, and my house is starting to become intelligent. So that's fun, and it's Velcro, so I can still take it off and hold it in my hand and use it to control the lights and everything. So it has the timer, and it has the lamp control, and it has a shared calendar, which is all very handy. One thing it definitely needed to have was a shopping list, right? Because I live with my girlfriend, and we have this, sometimes you go to the shop and you wanna buy stuff that you need for the house. How do you communicate what you need? So I wanted a digital shopping list, because we're modern, right? And I wanted not just any shopping list. I wanted one that was digital and didn't require any other stuff for me to configure. It had to be as simple as possible. And luckily for me, I was actually the first guy to need this, right? There's nothing else in the entirety of the internet that solves my problem. I clearly had to build something else that wasn't done before. So I started to look for solutions, and I wanted to do it with web tech, because I kind of know web, and I hate it, but I can get stuff done with it, and a browser is a pretty capable thing. I can build a lot of stuff with it. So I had to look around for tools for building my own shopping list. So it had to be shared, right? It had to be accessible from any device. I didn't want any login. I just wanted to go to a URL, and there it is. And then the URL will be the secret, right? And if anybody else knows the URL, they can add stuff to my shopping list. Whoop-de-doo, I don't really care. It just has to be convenient. And from any device, she has an Android, I have an iPhone, we have an iPad here, and we have other laptops as well, so it couldn't really be an app. I hate apps, by the way. Web is perfectly capable. And it had to be instant. So, when I'm walking in the store, looking at the list, and she adds something to it, I want to see it immediately on my phone, right? So I went to looking for tech to help me build this, and that's when I found this. This is Firebase, and I don't know how many of you already know about Firebase. Right, have you used it already as well? All right. Yeah, okay, so that's as far as I got, but I'm just going to show you all how cool it is and how easy it is actually to build stuff with it. So they're making this cloud-based platform, cloud database is I guess what you call it. You know, database as a service, and they take care of everything, and you have like a bunch of APIs that talk to it, like JavaScript, REST API, JavaScript libraries, iOS, Android, whatever you call it. I just use the the JavaScript version, obviously. So this is what it looks like if you have a Firebase app. And what it basically, it's you just have to have some JavaScript somewhere in your web page that talks to their website, and they talk some protocol that you don't even care about. You have a library that you talk to, and that's it. And the interesting thing here, which you just can barely see because of the black square, is that you don't really need your own web server. You don't have to code anything server-side, right? You can just pull up a local local HTML file with some JavaScript in it, and it will just work. And I'll demonstrate that in a bit. So this is mighty convenient. No dependencies, just I stick my bit of source code, and I have a running application with it, backed by a database. So that was all for my introduction, because now put your money where your mouth is. I'm just going to sling some code, and I'm going to build together with you. You can watch me do it. That same shopping list application that I talked to you about, I'm going to build it in like the space we have left, right? And I'll show you just how easy it is to build stuff with Firebase, and I'll hope you'll be as surprised and happy afterwards as I am, because I was expecting a lot of trouble, and then I just did it, and it was hardly an effort at all, and I was just so extremely happy that I hope you're going to share this. So now for the live coding. First off, can everybody read this? Is the font clear, and the color scheme and the font size? Okay. Right. So what I have here is just a single HTML page with hardly anything in it and an empty script that I load, right? That's all we need to start. First off, I would have liked to install the Firebase client library, or download it at least. I'm in the wrong directory, I think. Am I? No, I'm in the right directory. That's awesome. Let's also just clear the screen, because otherwise you get a taste of what's to come. I was going to do Bower install Firebase, which will just download the client library for me and put it in my project. And I would love to do that for you right now, but the network here is blocking the SSH access that I need to GitHub to do this. So I can't, but luckily I downloaded it already. So you just have to, believe me when I say I'm just going to put it in and it'll work. And I have to look at the file name. First, though, let's go to Firebase, actually. This is their website. And let's create a new Firebase or a new app. I have an account already. That's easy. And I'll make a new app, is what they call it. It's like one database. And I'm going to call it Firebase Demo, which is, of course, already in use. That's great. Firebase Demo 2. Nope. Flash Demo. Yeah, okay. Nope. Shite. Firebase Flash Demo. No. Got Demo. No, that's up too obvious. Okay. Flash. Oop, that's not. Well, that's free. That's free, so that's good. All right, we can do Flash. So I just made a new database. I can look inside it, and I'll see this. And their database is basically, it looks like a big JSON store, or like a big JavaScript object that you can just access in the cloud. Okay, given this, I have this URL, and this becomes important, but I'll get to that later. So first, let me include the library. It's in Bower components somewhere. Oops. Oh, I'm looking. And it's Bower components, Firebase.js. I could have guessed that. So let's just include it. JS, right? That's that. And I will create create a new Firebase object in my JavaScript. I'm going to say I could just call it Firebase new Firebase with this URL that I got. And I'm basically good to go. So I'm going to start off by creating an input box that will allow me to add stuff to my shopping list. And I'm just going to write the input right now, which is a form, and it has an ID, which is, I don't know, submit form. And it has a, let's see, a div with the class is columns 10, if I, no columns, and then it's small 10, right? This is, by the way, Bootstrap, what I'm using for CSS, which makes it look like not totally crappy, just a little crappy. And it's an input field, I don't know, right? And I'll have a div class is columns postfix column small 2, which is based on a grid of 12 columns. So now I'm filling my entire grid. And our input type is submit, a value is add. Right. Let's see if that looks okay. That didn't look okay at all. What did I do wrong? This is kind of the horrible thing with live coding. I'm just going to peek real quick, because I prepared this beforehand. Small 2 columns. Oh, it's a postfix button. There we go. I should have put the postfix there. Well, this is not exactly what I wanted, but close enough. So we have an input box with a button, and I'm just going to go, the form is the, what did I call it again? Input submit form. That's a great name. Submit form. Also, this is going to be very, very bad coding style. But it's just to illustrate a point, right? In general, you would organize your code better than this. Input field. And then when the submit happens, right? Form.submit. Now interesting stuff happens. I'm just going to go Firebase.push, which is going to add stuff to my Firebase. It just looks like an array because it's just any JavaScript object. I'm going to call it name is going to be the input value, and I'm going to say I want to order one of those, and I'm going to empty the text of my input field and return false to prevent the default submit. So that should actually now work, and I can say I can order beer. And now it disappeared here and nothing really happened. But if we look in the Firebase, all of a sudden we have an extra item here, which says, hey, I want to order beer, right? So I just added stuff to the database. All right, that's all very well and good. I've added stuff. This is like 5 lines of code. But I also want to see it in my app, obviously. So I need to make a lister. So I'm going to call it, make another div, call it list, and also give it a class of row. Do I? No, I don't need to do that. Right. And now I want to respond to changes to my database and to view them, actually. So I'll say firebase.onValue, and this is an event that gets raised whenever the value of my database changes. And I can do this on any node in the database. The database looks like a JSON structure. It's like a tree. And on every level, I can say, if something changes, fire me an event. Right now, I'm just using the root of the database as a list, which is going to be my shopping list. In general, right, you would have some subdivision there, because you probably have some user data, metadata, and whatnot. But for this demo, I'm just going to say the database is the list. Right. So if my value changes, something happens. In general, also you can do more fine-grained events. So I can say if a child gets added to it, I can respond to that. If my list is very large, it would be more efficient to just respond to small update events. But it will also say if the entire value has changed, this is the new value, and I'll just replace the entire list, because I know that my shopping list is not going to be very large. So I can take the performance hit. Right, so I also love Lodash or underscore, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to say I'm going to map the current state. I get that state.val, which is the current state of my database. I'm going to, now first, I only want to see stuff that's non-zero, so I'm going to filter on that, and I'll make a function, non-zero, item, great name, and I'm just going to say item.count is bigger than 0, and then I'm going to say make row for an item, which is going to return me some jQuery object, like a div, which with 2 columns, right? I'm going to visualize the name and then the the name and then the count. So I'll append another div, div with a class of row again, and also small 10 because I like that size. And I'm going to say the text is item.name, and I'm going to append another column with a size of 2, and it's going to be the count. So that's when I make a row, and I'm just going to say, from all the stuff that you get me, I'm going to wait. If I do it like this, it gets better. I'm going to pick the items that don't have a count of 0, and I'm going to map them to make row, which gives me a set of elements, or a set of div elements, and then I can just, in list, I'm just going to say replace everything with this. Or probably I need to do empty first and then append, like this. Is this clear to everyone what is happening here? I'm just going to empty the contents of my div, right? I'm just going to put the stuff that I mapped in here. And that should actually already work, except it's ugly. Why is it ugly? Yeah. Notice that I didn't get any JavaScript errors. Oh, it says a row here. It should be columns, though. Row. Yeah, so there we go. I have a shopping list with an item of beer on it, and I can also say cheese, right, and stuff like that. And the interesting stuff is, because this, you've seen this a million times before, and this is not very interesting, but if I look at it in a different browser, and you'll just have to believe me that this could be a browser on any other device, right? And these tabs are not communicating. I see the same stuff, and even more interesting, I'm going to beer, cheese, and nachos. If I add it on the one, it immediately appears on the other side, right? And I didn't have to do anything for that. Just Firebase takes care of firing my value event in the other browser that's connected to the same database. So already, right, we're done. This is like real-time collaborative stuff. I can just add one thing in one browser. I didn't have to do anything else, and it immediately works on all machines. Impressed? Because I was totally happy when I saw this. Right, I was done. I'm adding stuff, and my girlfriend in the shop, she sees the same stuff immediately. Right, and obviously we can trick it out here a bit more, because you'll notice I made a kind of a mistake-ish thing that if I add another beer, it will just add one more beer to the list, which is not that nice. So I can fix that, right? And I'm just going to fix it in the dirtiest way possible. So I'm going to say I have a global variable shopping list, which just contains all my stuff. It's going to be dict, and I'm just going to cache that. And then whenever something gets added, I'll just go for, I'll just look it up in the database. And I'm just going to go, let's see, where? Yes. In the shopping list is my, I should put this in a variable that makes it better. Where in the variable is my thing with this name, and if there is an existing one, I should have done, okay, find key. And now it becomes a little more interesting. If I have an existing value, sorry, if the thing already exists, I'm going to go firebase.child with the existing key. I'm going to go update it. And I'm going to go count equals the current item in the shopping list. I should maybe make this more clear. This is a key, right? I'm going to call it existing key. Right. There we go. Count plus 1. Update an existing thing. Otherwise, we'll just add it as a new thing. Right, well, beer is a forgone case, right? Our database is kind of messed up, although I could actually just go in here and fix it. I'm just going to go, this guy is Wait, I didn't want to click that. And then it becomes slow. Yeah, go away. Yep, go away. Look, it disappeared. And now I can just add it again, and it didn't work. Oh my god. Oh, I didn't refresh this one, so this was still running the old code. Does it work now? Yeah, now it works. Oh, stupid. All right. Yeah, this one, go away. And it immediately disappears, right? This is all very live and happy. And I was going to add something else, actually. If you're interested, I was going to add a local state, which may be interesting. Because if first, I should also be able to strike things off my list, right? And you can click it and set the count to 0. And then maybe you want to, if you're doing the crossing off, you still want to see whatever you crossed off, and maybe undo it if you misclicked. And the other guy on the other end just wants to see it gone, right? So I can just very easily make it like this. I'm going to go. I think this one actually also gets the key as a parameter, so I can use that and just go, if you click it, then I'm going to get firebase.child key.update count to 0. There we go. Yeah, it disappeared. Actually, the cursor is a little wonky, but I think I have maybe a CSS class to make this better. Yes, it's supposed to be called grocery row, because I prepared some styles beforehand. And now the cursor looks like something you can click and actually hovers. I should have done this before. But now, okay, it's gone. And I can also say original counts is another local array that I'm gonna have. And something is non-zero. So I'm gonna use this array to maintain the counts of stuff before I click on it. So I can reset the count when I click on it again. So something should be shown if the item count is equal, or this also gets the key, or the key is in original counts. And then here I can go if key in original counts, then I need to reset it. And it's going to be original counts key. Otherwise, update with 0. And I need to set original counts in this case. Equals the, what was it again? Shopping list of key.count. And to make the styling nice, I also need to have a additional class that's going to represent a red line through my item, which looks nicer. And let's see if my class is, oh wait, let's write this differently. I'm going to say grocery row plus if the count equals 0, and I'm going to say it's crossed off equals 0, and I'm going to say it's crossed, otherwise nothing. All right, and this doesn't need to be there. And I prefer parents here because I never know how this comes out. Like this. So now I can cross off nachos and put it back, and the other guy, right, that added stuff to my list, sees it, and it only works once because I did something wrong with state. But see, the other guy, it disappears immediately. So this is now, my girlfriend bought it in the shop, or I did. And you can tell immediately, but if I click by mistake, I can just cross it off. And it looks nicer too. So this is basically like the 10-minute demo of writing a shopping list in Firebase. So we're done. I hope this was enlightening to you. Or at least, this is something cool I can play with myself. They have a free account. So there's the one bad thing. So Firebase is cool. There's the one bad thing. I don't like the pricing very much. So I have a free tier, which is, you can use it for, hobby projects and stuff. Once you try to use it for actual work, you have to pay actual money. And I think the pricing goes like a 50, 150, and then $500 for progressively larger databases and concurrent users and stuff like that. They also have hosting, by the way. So that's a month, yes. Yeah. Actually, I don't know how many users or how many visits you could actually support with one of those databases. They have like pricing, but for hobby projects, it's a little expensive, right? For larger hobby projects, you wouldn't necessarily use it unless you stay inside the free tier. I also have a nice hack to that. You can just have your users make their own Firebase, right? And then, give the URL of their Firebase to you, and then your app can put stuff in it. So it doesn't all come to your account. That's also what I did for my, so I have this thing is a project on GitHub as well. And you just put the URL to your Firebase in the address bar. And I will use your Firebase account, so I don't go over my limit. And everybody can have their own for their, small group of friends. So this is a bit of a hack to get around their pricing model. But in general, it's cool. It's a little expensive, but maybe, if you have a big company and you just want the ease of development, which you do get, it may be worth the money. I don't own a company, so I can't really tell, but, it may be true. That's all I have, actually. So, questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a few concerns with reliability. What happens if your client gets disconnected? Does it reconnect again?
It does reconnect, so that's all very transparent. It also has an offline mode. So if you don't have a connection, it will happily do everything that you tell it to, and it will show the changes locally. So I'll add something, and the thing will appear in my list. And once you reconnect, it will get saved back to the server.
You know what happens before 50?
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, you have to put code in to handle conflicts. Yeah.
Does it trigger polls if it's connected again?
It just periodically connects. Also, if you have a crappy internet, it works better if you don't have internet connection, right? And your browser can tell you immediately, this call is never going to work. And then it's just, okay, I'm going to default to offline mode. So if you have a crappy internet connection or an internet connection that doesn't know it's not working, then it'll be horrible because it'll wait minutes to try to connect, and then your app won't work at all. So it's a little. Yeah, it uses timeouts, the browser's timeouts, and they're like fairly large, like minutes. So in that time, so you have to be, if you're definitely offline, then it works fine. If you're like maybe offline, then it doesn't deal with that very well.
What about security?
Yeah.
I have a backend application, and I would use this next to it, and I have users on my backend. How do I replicate them?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, and I'm sorry to say I didn't really look into it for this because I didn't really care about that. They have security stuff, right? Because they've thought about this, and that's a regular use case. So they have stuff in place, and I don't really know how it works, so I can't tell you. But yeah, they have documentation. All right. Well, thanks very much.